All my favorite songs are slow and sad. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Welcome to the Sad Song Queens podcast, where we dive deep into the songs that make us cry. I'm Laura Webb.
And I'm Lindsay Wolfington.
Today we'll be chatting with Luke Sital-Singh, an indie folk singer-songwriter whose songs have a haunting, intimate quality that early on drew comparisons to artists like Bon Iver and Jeff Buckley.
Today we will be talking about his song Killing Me off of his 2017 album Time is a Riddle. The track has been streamed 18 million times on Spotify alone and licensed to multiple TV shows, including Sullivan's Crossing and The Village, which iMusic supervised. Other songs from Luke have been heard in Grey's Anatomy, Suits, and All-American, among others.
Luke hails from New Malden in the southwest part of London. He recently moved back to the UK after living in Los Angeles for several years. He and his wife have just welcomed a new baby.
So grab those tissues and let's get into it, because we all need a good cry.
Now, Killing Me by Luke Sital-Singh.
Sweetheart, would you wake up today? I promise you would recognize my face. I wanna show you how I've grown in this place. In this place, I'm not alone, and I know I'll be okay. But it's always harder when the winter comes to stay. When I can't help remember all the words I'd never say. And it's killing me that you're not here with me. I'm living happily, but I'm feeling guilty. Oh, you won't believe the wonders I can see. This world is changing me, but I love you faithfully. Everything is taller these days. Or maybe I feel smaller and time rushes away. There's so much I could show you. Oh, the great-grandchildren have been laughing like we did when we were young. Oh, I've been laughing like we did when we were young. But it's killing me that you're not here with me. I'm living happy, but I'm feeling guilty. Oh, you won't believe the wonders I can see. This world is changing me, but I'll love you faithfully. faithfully. Yeah, it's killing me that you're not here with me. I'm living happily, but I'm feeling guilty. faithfully.
Welcome to the podcast, Luke.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So fun that we can connect over like an entire country and ocean. Thanks to technology.
It makes me sad because I used to live in LA, and it's like I miss it quite a lot. So it's sort of like, I wish we were in person, but it's fine. We're here, we're together still, and that's just as good.
I know we were thinking back to the time when we were wanting to have you be our on-camera performer for Love at First Sight during the height of COVID, and we were like, oh my gosh, that was so funny.
And that was the opposite problem, wasn't it?
Right,
I was in LA.
you couldn't get into the UK because of like severe lockdown, and we were scared you would get trapped. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was. In the end, I think it worked out for the best. But yeah, it was. We were trying to figure out a way it could work, but yeah, those were the days. But now we've reverse roles, and I'm back in the UK, ready for the next movie. You know?
And we're in LA, and exactly.
That's right. Yeah, next UK movie, you'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be waiting.
Exactly.
Getting back to the States.
Exactly.
That was like Delta. That was like, because when we talked to you initially, and we're like, can you write a song and then you can perform it on camera? It's so great that you can be back and forth between UK and LA, and then Delta hit, right? So that was like early December, and then the COVID took another turn, and by January you're like, sorry guys, and
those were the days when
I know.
Those were the days.
Oh, so fond. No, not really.
Yes, for real. So today we're going to talk about "Killing Me," which I'm
chirpy stuff, chirpy day.
Right? I think it's such an amazing track. So one thing we like to do at the beginning is kind of talk about, what we envisioned when we heard the song versus what maybe it is really about, which you can tell us. So Laura, did you have a prophecy of your interpretation of the song?
Yes. Okay. So, more I'm like, I just have several questions once I listen and I looked at the lyrics and everything. So, why is she not with you? Did something happen? Was it a physical longing since you were in different locations? And then also, when we get to the great grandchildren line, it makes me think that perhaps you're projecting into the future, and this could be you looking back on your life. I'm curious to know why you feel guilty, which is a multi-part question, but that's my theory.
And my interpretation is that someone's passed away and you feel guilty because like you're moving on, and life is actually quite lovely sometimes, and that's hard when the person you love can't be there to share it with you. So, what's the real story?
Well, I'll break my rule for today, but sometimes I'm like, I don't like to prescribe what, so rigidly what it is, because some people come up with better things than they actually were, but which I like to claim, oh yeah, that's a better story, I'll have that one, I'll tell that one.
I mean, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But I think the funny thing about this one is that there is a real, because a lot of my songs are a bit more figurative, and maybe there's some playing around with poetry and like not necessarily true stories per se, but this one is very true in that it's not even about me. It's not me. It's the curveball twist is that it's my grandma singing to my granddad is the thing, and it's not something I think I've ever really done. I'm trying to think if I've ever done that before in a song where I'm sort of taking the role of somebody else and singing from their perspective. Yeah, it's not something I do very often anyway. But yeah, that's what it is for me, and what is very acutely that, because I just remember sitting down and writing it, I think after visiting my grandma, who I don't have, who died a few years ago now as well, but it's just something that breaks my heart, the living on when your sort of soulmate has died. Like even when I was talking about it, it will just make me start crying, because it's just something so brutal to me about that. Because people break up, relationships end all the time for during life, and that's the thing. But to get to sort of 80, 90 years old and still be with your person, and then they inevitably, one of you will inevitably die.
first. Well, maybe not. I suppose you could both go at the same time, but it's just this like brutal inevitability to it, that even when we like stick it out and find those people that we're with forever, everything ends basically. happy podcast.
We are
and
the
that
sad
just-
song queens. It's okay.
Yeah,
This
it's
is the
fine. Okay,
space for
yeah,
it.
cool.
Yeah, and we can all cry if we have tissues handy.
Okay,
if,
cool.
If you want to go, if you need to pause to get some tissues.
I think I'm good for now. But so I just sat down and was just, after visiting my grandma, I think she might have said something like, I think about your granddad every day, or something like that. It's just something heartbreaking, and it just poured out of me, that song. And yeah, I think not every line in, like, I'm extrapolating things, I'm putting myself in. She didn't say all those words to me or anything, but I just kind of was just trying to turn my empathy machine on and just kind of think about what that would feel like. And she's lived he died like quite a long time ago. Like, I'm trying to think now. I'm really terrible with years and dates and stuff, but it was a good bit, and I think that's why it moved me when she said she still thinks about him like every day, because it wasn't like a recent grief or something. It was so yeah. And she's got great grandkids, hence that line, she's got great grandkids that he never met, and like all these amazing things that had happened in her life since. And so she was like clearly in a good place, and yet he wasn't there. So that there's like the guilt idea that like maybe I shouldn't be happy because you're not here. Am I allowed to be a happy person? Like, should I be like sad and missing you all the time? Like, yeah, that's where it came from for me. So
did she say that, or did you extrapolate that?
She didn't say that. No, she never said she felt guilty, actually. I think I extrapolated that. And yeah, I don't know if that it would even be a true feeling that people grieving would have, but it makes sense to me. And maybe even more so. And she didn't move on. She didn't remarry and stuff, but there was that like other aspect of people that lose people and then sort of find other relationships and things like that, and what that does to your brain and your memories and things like that. And but yeah, that's where it was for me. That's what that song is. So
well, I think in Sullivan's Crossing, when we used it, what was so unique about this sad type of sad song was it was about grieving and moving on at the same time, which is exactly what I needed in a scene. It was about someone who lost their wife but was like ready to move on and was spreading her ashes. But so when I was looking, I was like, I need a sad song about losing somebody but moving on. And so rarely do you have both the like loss but like see you later, or like I'm gonna move past this, I'm gonna get on with my life. So it's really unique, really
That's
powerful. And you recorded this live, didn't you? Because I asked for an instrumental and one did not exist.
Yeah, I know. I've done that a few times and bitten myself on the butt with like syncs and things. It's like, oh, damn it. Felt like such a good idea at the time. But yeah, I mean, for a long time, so I wrote that song like back in, I don't know, it was like 2014 or something like that. And it took me a long time to play it to anyone because it felt too personal. And I didn't feel, it just felt like a different thing. Because I remember actually crying writing it. And that's not, I mean, I'm a sad boy, but like I don't often just cry when I'm writing songs that often. I'm usually laughing at the money that I can feel. That just doesn't happen very often. So it just felt very special, and it kind of like, I'm not sure what to do with this, and it felt very specific to my grandma and like my relationship to her and stuff. And like, since then I've realized that those songs, or I've experienced it, the songs that I feel are the most personal and no one will relate to them are like the ones that everyone relates to.
Totally.
Yeah, it's like like without a doubt that's just always happened. But so eventually I wrote, I showed it to my manager, who like flipped out about it, and then a few people. I mean, my wife had heard it and knew it was special, but she understood why I didn't want to play it to anyone, but eventually I did, and yeah, everyone was kind of super excited about it. And then, so when it came to recording it, I just knew that needed to feel special as well. And I didn't want it to be. I just wanted everything to be, maybe, this is a bad trait, but I just wanted it to be perfect and like every intention to be correct, and like it's impossible to get there. But I just, for her memory and just different things like that, I just didn't want to feel like I was doing the wrong thing, basically. But so I just wanted it to be perfect, which meant things like I don't want to be able to tune my vocal even. I don't want to be able to edit it. I don't want to be able to fix mistakes, which meant that I just wanted to record it live. Like it was just me in this studio where we were recording in Ireland, and the piano player Michael Keeney had learned it, and there's like a grand piano like in the room with me, and I was just stood near it, classic like crooner style, like we're just there singing together, and I think I'd had a couple of glasses of red wine. I thought that'd be a good idea. Yeah, and then I think we did sort of turned all the lights off and things like that, and just tried to kind of really get in it. I think I don't know how many takes we did, not tons, like 3 or 4 takes, I think. And it was just one of those special nights in the studio where you just feel like you're just trying to capture some magic, and it can be difficult to do, but I feel like we did on that day, and it was worth it, even though there isn't an instrumental.
For people listening that don't know this, when we are trying to tie film and the dialogue together with songs, we do need instrumentals, just because writers are very protective of their dialogue, and but it so comes across, and I mean that's I think why we connect to it so much, that it is, we feel it.
Oh, that's good.
It's a raw.
There's enough like I think so. I mean, I listen to it now and I feel quite young. It's funny when you just, I don't know. I always just have this with a lot of my music. I just want to do it again. Now I'm like, I wonder what it sounds like with me singing it now. Or there's I mean, it's not long enough, but there's some of my favorite Joni Mitchell stuff. There's like this, I can't remember what it's called, but there's like a record where she sings bunch of her old stuff, like with a big jazz band, and it's like, it's when she's like 70 or something, and she's singing songs from when she was 20 or something, and it's just like being able to to feel that weight and that life experience in a new, the same person but 50 years later or something. It's a cool thing. So I'm not quite there. So it's only been like whatever it is, 5 years or something. Anyway. But one day
as your children get older or something, like looking at, that.
Yeah.
So you wrote the song several years before you ever were ready to record
it was a couple of years.
And so what was, when you sat down to write it, was this something like you had left your grandma, like visiting your grandmother, and you thought, let me just sit down and.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure memory is a bit cagey about it, but there was a reason why it was on my mind. I'm pretty sure that because I was living in London at that time, and she would have been living in Bristol in the UK. So yeah, we would have gone and she lived with my mum and dad at that point. So I would have gone to like visit mum and dad and seen her and stuff. And she's had a little kind of side of the house that was her like living room and stuff. So I'd probably just go in there and just sit and talk with her for a bit. And yeah, I think would have come home from that and just sat at the piano. And like most of my, best, quote unquote, best songs just come that way, just so fast. They just like, they were there waiting for me to stop watching Netflix and do something. And, which is a key part of the process, I'll say. the old Netflix, don't snooze on the Netflix process of songwriting. But it was just there. It was just fully formed. I think I probably just wrote it within 20 minutes, something like that, and it's quite a simple song.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of the emotion in it is because it's piano and vocal. And it's like simple chords that hit in the right way. I mean, honestly, like I know how they make me feel, but do you know the secret sauce of like what are the chords that make people sad, or like how do you ever sit down and try to write a particularly sad song?
I mean, yes and I don't know the source. I don't know the source. I don't know. I mean, a lot of the stuff is just all in the vocal and delivery and the lyrics. The chords don't really matter as long as they're not super weird. Like if you can write the same chord, you can write the same
You
chords.
heard it here, folks. Don't be super
Not-
weird
not
with
super
the
weird.
chords.
I just think like a lot of my songs, I've noticed now. I'm just releasing the 5th album, and when I come to do shows, I'm like, they're all the same chords. So that my memory of like which song am I in? Like if I drift away, it's still thinking about something else. I'm like, okay, well, back in the room. Oh, you're playing that chord. Well, that could be 17 different songs. Like we're here again. How do I? But the melody can be so vastly different on top of the same old chords and the lyrics, obviously, and the delivery and things. So I do think there's something about the piano for me anyway, as a songwriter, and the songs that have lent themselves to placements as well. It's something about the piano and my voice, and that simplicity seems to connect with you supervisor types, and and I don't know why. Yeah, I know maybe I've got a couple of songs that have been placed with like guitar and vocal, but it's definitely mostly the piano ones. And there is part of me that I like to get film stuff in TV shows and stuff, so I do sometimes sit down to try and think, to try and go, okay, I got to try and pay some bills, let's try and write one of those. And more often than not, when I'm in that headspace, it doesn't work.
It doesn't hit. Yeah.
No, sometimes I've been writing for pitch and things like that. It has worked, but it's harder, and it's ones that I kind of turn off all those things. That's just craft, really, isn't it? And then the rest of it is just pure emotion and gut feeling. Because I'm also really quick. I've mentioned that, but I'm quite a quick songwriter to a fault. Whereas like if I don't finish the song within like one sitting, it will never get finished. It will just get deserted. And
You don't go back to it?
No, I'm really bad at I have so many voice memos of half written things that when I come back to them, they just feel a bit cold. It's like I'm not that person, or the temperature is not the same in the room. Like I'm so instinctual in that moment. I was feeling the right kind of hungry or not hungry, or it's just the anxiety in my heart was at a good level, and then like the next day it's like, oh no, I can't. This is nothing. It's nothing. So yeah, it's all quite instinctual with me, which is annoying because I'd love to be able to just turn it on and predict it and be able to write whatever songs I need to write that day. But
I think what you're saying about the the ones that feel the most personal are what resonates with people, and I feel like with doing this podcast too, like the songs that really hit for us are the ones that there is this rich story behind it.
Yeah.
I think yeah, like we've said, sometimes the super specificity for like specifically placements can hurt or not. Like it can work or not. But then the ones that leave us that we still think about are the ones that are really honest,
Yeah. It's interesting because I think there's a lot of honesty in music now. Well, honesty is the wrong word. There's a lot of I think there's a difference between honesty and specificity, I think, isn't it? Like there's a lot of specificity in the way that kind of the cool kids are writing songs, like listing out the most detailed scenes or whatever they're going through in their life. And some of that I think is cool, but some of it leaves me a bit cold. And I'm thinking I think there's like a balance of being able to say just honestly in normal language what you're feeling and doing and what's happening in that relationship or whatever. But then there's sort of the skill of knowing how to elevate it a little bit beyond just a mundane list of a shopping list kind of thing, and that kind of that balance of being able to like keep it concrete but then kind of lift it into some other realm, some universal thing.
Did your grandmother hear the song? And what did she
Yeah,
think
she
of
did. She had to be. I wasn't there when I think my mum played it for her, and she was a bit confused initially. I mean, she was pretty with it. She died when she was like 90, something like 96 or something like that. She was pretty with it for a 96-year-old, but I think she was like, "Oh, it's one of Luke's songs. That's nice." And then she didn't kind of, no, but this is like, listen. We had to print out the words and everything for her, because she didn't quite like clue. And then I think she still took her a while to understand why I would write a song about her. She was quite a sweet, humble little lady. She was like, why would you do what do you mean this about me? And I think she found it quite tough to listen to, and I found it really tough to play it when she was at a show, because she would come to my shows like when she could, and I was just like, oh, this is. And then when she died, I just couldn't play it for a long time after that at all for me, because she was like, I was closest with her. She was my last grandparent alive. So then it became me, and it sort of became more about me and her rather than her and my grandpa. Like, it was sort of, I was missing her. So I just couldn't sing it. I just couldn't do it. I think there might have been a couple of gigs where I started and I just had to had to bail out. But it is a. For a while, I thought I just probably won't play this song anymore. But it's just, people like it. People want to hear it mostly at my shows. So I kind of forced myself to find a way to get through it. But it's much easier now. But it's funny. It is one of the ones that was my hits. One of my, if there's such a thing. It's just so funny because it's just so miserable. It's just like, I can't believe it. This is what you've come to see. Let's all just have it's like, and there's always a palpable like heaviness to the room when I finish it singing it as well, right. Because it's just one of those things that so many people have a story about grief and loss and whatever. And
there's something so powerful about. Well, I think like this is part of what draws me to sad songs is like. For a moment, you can just get lost in it. And especially at a live show, it's like this, because if you're in the audience, right, and you're listening to it and absorbing it, nobody's looking at you too. Mm-hmm. So if you do get emotional or you do cry, it's just that shared experience of a feeling. You have to like get into the feeling. I mean, I was always drawn to like the ballad on the album, so I'd be like, okay, when are they gonna play the quiet song?
No, that's me as well. The final track on the album, we'll skip to the acoustic song at the end.
Totally. I'm like, okay, the single, great. What's track 11? What ends the album?
Do you usually put the saddest one in for yourself? Like, do you usually put it at the end, or?
I mean, I do. I mean, someone told me that there was a reason why they actually did that is because of vinyl pressing. Like, there's at the two extremes, the middle, the end of the first side and the end of the second side, there's less wax for the. Which means that you can't have as much bass, and I don't want it too nerdy, but like you wouldn't put a full arrangement song. Yeah, you couldn't put a full arrangement song at the end because it would get all distorted and weird. So they would, you'd have acoustic songs on that to end the sides.
So this is like fascinating because Laura and I have talked a little bit about. Well, we haven't really talked about it until now. That the last song on the album tends to be the sad one, but also like. We've always been drawn to like track 5 or something, that's usually like a lull or a space. Like even when that must have been ingrained in us from the vinyl days.
Totally.
Went from vinyl to tape to CD. And then now even when we do soundtracks that are just on like, streamers and DSPs, like, we're still thinking the same pattern.
It's funny how those things carry on. I like it, and I hope it never ends. But I always... it's funny because I just interpreted that as a romantic sort of aesthetic decision from the band. Like, we want to end. This is the true. Maybe this is why I'm even here. Like, this is like the true, and this is what we really wanted to say.
Right?
This is how we want to end the thing.
We humored the label, but now this is like
the true thing for the true fans who've listened all the way through. This is who we really are. But no, it's apparently not. But I like to end with something morose. And there's obviously like every other song is, so it doesn't mean it's not quite as a moment for me.
I worry today now though with like people's attention span, like on streamers though, would they even get to?
Well, Laura, this is it.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
I think I'd make my music for your ideal reader, and I'm making it for me essentially, or like people like me, and should I even be making a record? You know, I've had this debate with my manager like umpteen times, and even the label. If I said to my label, like, I'm not actually going to do a record, I'm just going to do songs every 6 weeks or whatever, they'd be loving it. They'd be like, great, that's the way it goes. That's the way we should be doing it. But it's just us like slightly aging artists that we just want to do it the way our heroes did it still. And like, you know, this just feels wrong. It feels wrong to me to not have a record. And I'm thinking about I have a son now, but even before, I was always like, I just want my records on vinyl because they feel like they're going to last. Like if I just upload this stuff to Spotify and that's the end, it's just like, am I ever going to have am I going to have a record of these things to like pass on and to keep as this is what I did? And I'll probably be ashamed of them. I'm sure my son will think I'm a lame-o, but it's just like, you know, I've got them all on vinyl and they're just like, yeah, I did these things, and you can pass them along to your kids and your grandkids or whatever, and that just feels special to me in a way that like just a song every 6 weeks uploaded to wherever just feels a bit poo, you know. Just a bit plastic, you know.
Although you did talk to us a little bit about your Sad Song Supper Club. We were like, no way, he had a Sad Song Supper Club. Of course he's got to talk to the Sad Song Queen.
Yeah, that was the what I called my Patreon, which I have relaunched actually, but yeah, I stopped it for a bit. But yeah, during COVID, you know, a lot of artists were trying to find a way to keep paying the bills and keep connected to their fans, like during no shows and nothing like that. So yeah, I started the little Patreon club, which I called the Sad Song Supper Club, mainly as just a joke, like a fun thing, a fun branding thing. But yeah, it was just a nice little community that I gave them songs, we did covers. Yeah, we voted for covers that I did, and I just kind of did my own depressing version of lots of covers and things like that.
Yeah, what was your did you have a favorite cover?
Well, I ended up
mostly gave you sad songs, didn't they?
Yeah. They were pretty sad. There was a few. I released an EP of them, which was called "Across the Evening Sky." Which, so that was one of my favorites. Was well, it was it's favorite because it was funny. Like, and she's a close friend now, but one of the members, this lady called Jackie. Every month she would vote for Sandy Denny. Who knows where the time goes? And because you know, people could vote and then suggest, and then people would vote for the songs, and then obviously the song that got the most votes got covered, but no one ever voted for a song. For like a year or something. Every month she would put it up, 0 votes, and then eventually I just felt so bad for her. I just did it like off my own back. So it's a beautiful song. I'd love to like give it a go. So then I did that and released the EP with that song on it and called it after that song. I did a cover of that Death Cab song, "I Will Follow You Into the Dark," which is a depressing song. But then I made it into a full band. I did that. I reversed it. I made it into a full band song instead of acoustic song, cool. Which was quite fun.
I love when people do covers and they turn it on its head. I think that's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, I thought the common thing is to like get a big song and make it into some little acoustic thing, isn't it? But I just thought it'd be fun to do the reverse. But yeah, so that little club was cool. And I got busy with the last record and I paused it for a bit, but I relaunched it a couple of weeks ago. So there'll be more Sad Song Supper Clubbing.
Speaking of the new album, I heard it's happy. I mean, what are you doing?
I know, I'm so sorry. They just kicked me off the podcast now.
Yeah.
Kick me out.
We're done here.
It is. I don't know if you heard any of the songs, because I've released a few. I'm saying it's happy for the shock factor. I mean, it is happy. It's definitely got a little smile on its face. It's a mess in my brain as to what it is and what it means to me, because I wrote this album a lot during the last few years. Me and my wife it was quite hard for us to get pregnant. It was quite a few years of trying, and we were really in a dark place with that. And a lot of these songs were written in that time. but yet they were happy. But like I was sort of felt compelled to sort of color them in this kind of, in this multicolored sort of slightly chirpier clothing. And I think it was maybe a sort of way to defend myself against this dark place that we were in. I just needed a little bit of
some hope or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I used to say that sad songs made me happy, and I think they do to an extent. But at least during that period, it was just like, you know what, I just want to try and make something that's a bit like I'm so depressed. I would like to like sort of have a bit of brightness in my life somewhere. And the idea of sitting day on day out just writing sad songs at that point just felt too much. So I was just trying to sort of, shake it up a bit, and I would, just put drum beats in and just try and just find another rhythm, another level to my songwriting. So yeah, that's where the record came from. There's still some sad songs on there, man. The last one I wrote was To My Son. It was just before we were pregnant. It was just before he was born, and I hadn't really written a song to him. So I wanted to do that, and I wrote that song. It's called Cruel World.
Welcome, buddy.
This is on brand.
I like to hear that. Yeah,
Cruel
so
World. It's pretty, but it's got hope. I think that's what I mean. I'm just babbling now, but a lot of my songs, I always want them to have a bit of hope in them, and I think that is the difference between, for me, a good sad song is one that has a little tinge of hope in there, because I don't want to listen to just endless whining.
Well, it almost makes it like sadder. Like, there's a weird thing that we do. Like, all those like extreme makeover shows or Undercover Boss, like you cry when someone does something nice for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like this element of, and I remember working on a scene on a show once that was like a pretty intense montage that we really wanted to hit people in the heart. And the song that was hopeful hit you harder,
Yeah, right.
And I don't want to also overlook what you're talking about. I think a lot of people struggle with getting pregnant and being pregnant and all that stuff. So that's a really real experience. And it's interesting because one of the questions we often ask is, what do you do when you feel sad? So really interesting that you've kind of told us in a way. I don't know if you want to elaborate.
I definitely felt the saddest I'd ever felt, and that was quite eye-opening. It was almost like I did the wool fell from my eyes on my previous shtick, which was all the sad song stuff. So I know it's funny that we've talked. I love a sad song, but
we do too. I was
a bit like sad songs will save the world and all this stuff, and like I'll always listen to sad songs. They make me happy, and it's just like, oh, and then I got hit in the chest, harder than ever, and I was like, maybe there are moments where I don't want to listen to this stuff and I need a bit of a break, because I think I don't know, it's a tricky one, because I think I've never been somebody that likes to gloss over things. So if I'm feeling crap and you ask me how I am doing, I'm probably going to be like painfully honest. One of those people that you're supposed to say,
I'm guilty too. Cool. I know, I'm guilty too. I'm like, do you want the real answer or the cocktail?
Well, I don't even ask if they want. I just go for it. I just go for that. Just musically, there's a bit more levity to them and a bit more, upbeat. And I kind of was enjoying that contrast at that point of just like a song. Lyrics are just as existentially dready as before, but the music itself has got some groove to it. I thought that was a cool idea. So that's what the album is mostly, that vibe. So it's not fully happy. So don't worry. I still need to be part of this.
No, but I think when you're living it, I think when you're in some of the darker times and it's so heavy, that's the kind of stuff, or like gallows humor, or just things because you're like, to get through this, you gotta like, you're obviously still feel it and you're not ignoring it. It's just that you're like, I need a sliver of light and hope Yeah, like
I mean, that's
think
funny
that's
actually.
all
Maybe
real.
that's a good gallows humor thing. I think that's a good description of this album. It's
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
sort of like maniacally laughing, but also crying.
You're like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
but
Laura
it's
just gave you a title for your new album.
yeah, but it's fun because now, we have this 2 months old, and it's like a miracle, can't believe it, surreal, and I kind of so now I'm sitting on. And this is the weird thing about writing music and whatever is art, or like having quite personal art anyway. And having to sit, it takes ages to put this stuff out. You like write it, years ago, and then we're only putting it out now, and it's just like I'm a different person. I'm in a different space, and sometimes that can be great, and it can like give a fresh perspective on your own work. And there are songs on there like the Cruel World one, and then there's a song called Little River, which is about him, but like and I said to the label, like, these are two songs, if anything goes wrong, like if something goes wrong and he's not born or whatever, just these are not on the album, so we just have to but it's such a weird thing to like plan for. It's like I'm not going to be putting these songs on the record, so it was like these weird conversations we were having around that, which are obviously now fine. And so now I have these songs that are like sort of celebratory songs, but the whole thing's in this massive cloud of grief and happiness and disappointment and joy and like all these things, and which is I kind of love that. I love that. I kind of thrive on that kind of mess. I'm just like, this is great. This is life. This is what it's like. So yeah, it's I'm excited for it to come out. But yeah, it's I think it comes out. The whole thing comes out in February or something. But I am releasing like a song every 6 weeks or something until it comes. That's how it's going. But then there will be an album at the end. So yeah, we're
You're
sort of meeting.
appeasing both.
I know,
both
meet in the middle,
audiences.
compromise.
Yeah,
That's the
right.
way.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, that's awesome. I feel like parent-child things, movies, like plot lines, like they're all always the things that get me in the heart. So now you've got me really, and even just like songs that people write as lullabies, I almost like they aren't necessarily sad, but they are very emotional. Often.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out like what songs, like how I want to present songs to him and stuff. Like, do I want to be just sing depressing songs to him all the time? Or like, how do I do it? What do I do? How do I? He definitely he stops and listens, which is
Does
quite
he?
sweet.
I was going to ask. Yeah,
is
he responding? And
yeah, he's got a little smile on him now. But yeah, I just want him to be a banker. I'll just make some money. But,
oh my God, you're so funny. I also just wait. I have teenagers now, and maybe they're about to pass the brink, but there's definitely, they don't care about slow songs. They just want the fun pop hits.
Yeah.
Guys.
Oh God.
I feel like 9th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade was when that kind of started for me. So maybe we're in a transition. We'll see.
Yeah, well, it's all to come.
I mean, they did live during a pandemic too.
Okay,
so,
fine. They need a little
slack,
sunshine.
Lindsay. Yeah, cut them some slack. Yeah, no. Because I can't even imagine. I mean, we were just pretending to be angsty about whatever, now.
Yeah.
They had real
Yeah,
stuff,
that's true, actually, yeah.
Yes, I looked up your TED Talk, and you said you love a depressing song because it helps you feel less alone and speak to a very real part of being human in a cathartic and healing way. Which I really like. That was
Yeah, I do.
You're very wise, very wise.
I don't know. I do think there's something more. They stick with you. I mean, I love joyous music, but it feels like happy music. Well, for me, I mean, it's generalizations, but I love it. You can put on some happy place or something, and it's a lovely kind of accompaniment to what you're doing, and it can lighten the vibe and things, and it can feel good in that sense. But it just feels slightly less profound than something that slows you down and sort of takes you somewhere melancholy. And it feels like that's the place where you can kind of change, and do some work through something, whereas the happier stuff just feels slightly more kind of not shallow is the wrong word, but it's just like it's there and it's
Light.
gone. Yeah, it's light. It's like it's there and then it's gone as soon as you press stop. It's like for me anyway. And then whereas like I could listen to a sad song and press stop, and it will linger. Like that sentiment will just like stay and keep working its way in me. And that's not like one is good or bad, but it just feels more powerful to me. And I think it's really interesting when you attach it to picture and in film and TV and stuff. It's just like, I don't know, it's such a huge thing, isn't it? The difference that it makes when you put the right kind of emotional song over. If you put, it just fits. Whereas like, I don't know, I just ignore every single scene that has a happy song in. I'm like, I just don't care. It's like I don't hear it. I don't hear the music. It's just a kind of noise, an appropriate noise. And then there'll be a scene that has something moving, and you're like, oh, what's that? Like a sunset or something, or it just stops you in your tracks. And
that's, I mean, it's our favorite. It's our favorite
type of
scenes to pitch for.
Yeah.
We're like, yes.
Surely it's all the scenes that people talk about, like afterwards and things, or maybe not. Maybe there are some exceptions to the rule, but it feels like
there's some like some. I think some songs that like we've seen that like have really helped the artists and more discovery. Like some of them are like a big love moment when two characters get together.
Yeah, right.
I would say that, but also all the really sad stuff for sure.
My favorite placement was in this. Not that you asked, but it was this show.
Very curious, yeah.
Well, it was favourite because it's just made me laugh so much. The Supergirl, I think, or something. I do a show. It wasn't a show that I watched, but I usually like watch the episode that I'm in.
Your songs,
and
in, yeah.
I had no idea what was going on. It looked like there was a breakup, and the one girl was like packing up her stuff to move out of the apartment or something, and the other girl put on. Might have been Killing Me, actually. I think it was Killing Me.
We were looking up on Tune.
Now I'm worried that you guys did this. I never.
it wasn't us.
We didn't do it.
Was it Killing Me?
Yeah.
It was. It might. I think it was Killing Me.
I think it was because we were looking on TuneFind
about the placements,
kind of like what shows have used your like your music generally versus, and I think it was two of Lindsay's. Lindsay's used it twice on two different things, and then I think it was.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
So the Killing Me was playing on her iPhone, and then there's the other girl got up and was like, turn that. She didn't say this, but it was essentially turn that shit off and like put on like a happy song.
Snap!
That was the usage. It was like, we need to find a really depressing song that we can, the character can turn off and discuss. This is just brilliant.
You're like,
that's a twist.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll take it. I will take it. It's fine.
You're like, fair enough.
I'd turn it off. But yeah, it was quite funny.
That's so funny. Well, really coming back to your love of sad songs, like, do you have a favorite? What's your favorite sad song?
I mean, it's a tough question. There's a lot of songs. There's a few that I come back to and some of them now are just sort of. There's like a nostalgia to them. There's like a inbuilt feeling that might even be more than the song itself. Like it's just, I have been taken to this place many times by this song. So every time I listen to it, I'm like put in the right place. And one of them I'd say is A Case of You, Joni Mitchell song. That's that's like my all-time. It's just miraculous song. I mean, you could pick many of her songs, but I mean, I think that might have been could have been the first Joni Mitchell song I ever heard, which is partly probably why it's sort of stuck with me. It's meaningful. But it just,
what do you think makes it hit for you?
Did your parents play it for you, or
no? That was actually at music college. I went to this. I wasn't brought up on super cool music, so I had to sort of find these things elsewhere. And I think it was one of the first days at music college or something. I did like a songwriting degree type thing, and the tutor just was like, "We're going to analyze some songs," and he played that song, and I was just like, "What was that?" That was incredible.
Oh my god! And I also want to take this class.
Yeah. It was a good class actually. So I think the lyrics on that. I mean, the whole thing, like the melody. I mean, it's Joni Mitchell. Her melodies are just insane. But lyrically, I mean, even just that phrase, "I could drink a case of you and still be on my feet," it's just like, it's not even a sad lyric, really. It's just quite loving, kind of, but it has a sadness to it, I suppose. The picture of being absolutely messed up on on booze. But it just gets me just from the opening, those chords, like that's one of my favorites. And then another one that so my dog's gonna start barking. Is, have you heard Kelly Joe Phelps' "Good Night Irene"?
No.
It's "Good Night Irene." I think it's a Lead Belly song, like an old blues song. And Kelly Joe Phelps, who's like incredible slide guitar player, and like it's just, I think it's a live performance. Weirdly, I just realised that this was also played to me at music college, not by the same tutor, but in a different. I remember the tutor saying, like, "This is, I don't believe in God, but this song makes me, question whether there's a God." Like, it is. Chai. Sorry, stop.
We saw your dog on Instagram. He's
you did?
Cute.
I think I now follow.
Oh, you
Chai
did?
on
Yeah, it was her
Instagram.
birthday.
Yeah, it was very cute.
Yeah, she's a nightmare.
Yeah.
No, she's she's cute, but she likes to bark at random things. It's just this. It's actually rare. It's a rare song that actually moves me. The music of it moves me just as much as his vocal. Like his it's such a vocal guitar performance. Yeah, check it out. I mean, it's so beautiful. Good Night Irene. It's just phenomenal tune.
And that's what's interesting, is that when songs find you, I think is also kind of the, it's like times in your life.
Oh yeah. I kind of think I think you can sort of overly like a song because of just when it, I mean, it's all subjective, isn't it? Obviously, like a song for whatever reason, but I could have picked any Damien Rice song off that first album as well, because he was just like very, very important to me. And sort of I just wanted to emulate him when I first started doing this music. But when I listen to him now, I kind of I feel quite weirdly distant from it. It's odd. I mean, I don't not like it, but it's just, it doesn't move me in the way that it used to move me, even though I can see why I liked it and stuff. But I don't know why that is.
Sometimes things find you in a certain phase of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of to the instrumental, like sometimes an instrumental can really hit.
Yeah.
I remember when I was like 6 or 7, I saw La Bamba, and they play Sleepwalk when Richie Valens dies. Spoiler alert.
Okay.
And history, but it's an instrumental song. It's
oh yeah,
and it's
yeah.
Kills,
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's not always.
I can sing on your next record, Luke.
So it's okay. That was the audition. All right.
Audition.
Yeah. Please. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I think it's true. I think in those certain things, it's not the lyric, is it? It's not the vocal. But I mean, even it's funny. Like one of the things that puts me somewhere very distinctly, and I don't necessarily love. He's got some interesting politics now and a bit of a weird guy, but Eric Clapton, "Wonderful Tonight," the little
gorgeous.
that just puts me into driving home in my in the back of mum and dad's car, like from somewhere late at night, or some sort of family do, because that album was in the car the whole time, and that just that initial like bend of the guitar is just like it just makes me feel so weird and nostalgic, and I just secretly love the whole song as well.
It's a great song.
But I wouldn't necessarily pick it as my. It's not allowed. It's not.
No, well, and it's also like a love song, but there's something very emotional about that. The way
Yeah. Do you guys know the guy Thad Kopak as well? Have you heard of him?
No.
He's tiny guy. That sounds weird. I don't know where I heard this guy, but he has this song called "One Last Wedding" that absolutely floors me every time I hear it, and that's like. That's my sort of Joker card pick, because no one's it's such a small song. I mean, it's decent streams from him. I must have just heard it on a playlist or something. I think it's this guy in Nashville. I think he's mostly a producer, but and it just has.
We always love discovering new ones.
No,
so
I think you'd love it. It just has this atmosphere to it. It's more of a modern song. I don't know when it came out, but it's such a beautiful song. And that's got quite like moving lyrics, and it just has that's his like delivery of it. He's got one of those sort of nonchalant voices where he's not really trying to sing. And sometimes that moves me quite a lot when people aren't really, they're not trying to. When I listen to Killing Me now, sometimes it feels a bit like I'm trying. Like I'm really trying, but I was trying because I was, but sometimes I like to try less.
Well, thank you so much, Luke, for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for liking my music and stuff.
Yeah. And I also appreciate that, like, you've watched the episodes where your music has been used and like appreciate whether it was a good use or a funny use. And so it's always, because you never really know how the artist feels about it, you know?
Honestly, it's still one of those things, like, I mean, try not to take too much of my career for granted, but like there are things that I know, like, I can pinpoint. This was a dream that I just thought, wow, one day I'll be on there. Like, and I remember watching shows like The OC and like One Tree Hill, like these old, cheesy American dramas that I just like with cool music. I was like, oh, that would be cool. One day I'll be the song doing, over the sad montage. How cool would that be? And it's happened, multiple times now. So it's sort of, it's still a bit of a pinch me moment. It's a real kind of treat to get picked for those things and to see my music on those shows. So I'm very grateful to you guys and your like. So keep them coming. Let me know what you need. I'm here.
Yes, I know. It was so fun going to you for original stuff. So we'll always keep you in mind for that too.
Oh yeah. So,
well, thanks again and have a great week. Thank you for joining us today on Sad Song Queens, because you always need a good cry. We will link the songs in our show page, but please go stream them and listen.
Huge thanks to Luke Sital-Singh and Julian Dean. Special production thanks to Rob Seals, Keahu Kahuanui, Miles Bergsma, Wyatt Rouse, and our researcher, Emily Cartham.
Theme song by Miles Bergsma and outro music by Wyatt Rouse.